Hello, I'm Serial. Welcome to another playthrough. I'm really excited for this one. This has been way too long on my desktop. We're talking years of just sitting here and not me wanting to play it until, you know what? Since I'm now fresh off of Baldur's Gate 3, let's get into this damn thing. Let's do it. So, welcome to Pathfinder's Wrath of the Righteous. Yes, it's set in 1st edition Pathfinder rules. If you're not familiar with 1st edition Pathfinder rules, don't worry. I can teach you a lot of crap along the way. Believe me, I used to be well versed into this and kind of did some rubbing shoulders with a lot of people behind the scenes. Not Owlcat specifically, but Paizo itself back in the day. In any event, I'm excited for this, so I do have to go ahead and give you a disclosure right off the bat. The first being that I am indeed running mods for one particular mod, and just in case if something does break, I can potentially fix it, because this game, well, I imagine by now, it was originally released in 2021. A lot of updates, tweaks, and even DLC has come out for this. So, first and foremost, Toy Box. That's probably the big one. That can change and fix and tweak a lot of things in itself. Everybody should have Toy Boxes to play in this game, even if you don't plan on cheating, because sometimes you may need to fix something that otherwise you would not be able to without it. I've never played this one, although I should say I never played the PC version, nor the tabletop version actually, but I do own it. Long story short, I was in on the Kickstarter when this was announced, and part of the perk I got for it was getting the access to the PDFs from Paizo themselves. So on my Paizo account, I can actually download and read these, although the official Owlcat version, I think as of this moment, is still in the works. I don't know, but at this point, I'm thinking they'll only release it for 2nd edition Pathfinder, which I'm not a fan of that rule set, if I'm honest. I would rather play 5e. Much happier with that one. It reminds me, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Pathfinder 2nd edition. If you happen to be watching this and you're a fan, I just don't think, I mean, it's a much better version of 4th edition, but it's still, to me, 4th edition D&D, so I'm just not interested in that. So, but the big thing I wanted to carry over, unfortunately, I had to take this and this and this by default, so I could get Holy Vindicator from Pathfinder Kingmaker, because it is absolutely perfect for this game, and it frustrates me to no end that ultimately Owlcat decided to cut it, although probably for balance reasons. I know exactly why. It's a strong one. It's good. Anyway, I just think it's good to go for it. I'm also kind of tipping my hand here on how I'm going to do this. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump into it. So we're going to play the main story. I have not played any of this game or any of the DLC. I'm going to play it on core mode, which is as close to pen and paper tabletop for 1st edition Pathfinder as you can get, without a bunch of weird, or making it hard or unfair. And I'm keeping it as close as I can to the theme of the game. Yeah, so let's just get into it. I did go ahead and take the time to make a custom portrait for myself. And I will put a link in the description to a website that I found was really handy, if you want to do that. And I'm going to go with this guy right here. Look how badass looking that is. Unlike Baldur's Gate 3, where I played a good aligned drow, a Sildling drow specifically, I think I'm going to kind of go more of a Judge Dredd style. So I don't want to change portraits. I'm just going to keep this one. If you haven't guessed by now, ultimately, going Holy Vindicator is the ultimate and final goal. It's a prestige class, though, so here's a little bit of teaching moment. Holy Vindicator is a class that you multi-class into. You can't start the game as one, nor is it a subtype of one of the core classes. So to qualify to go into this one, you have to be able to do some things. You need to be able to cast first level divine spells. You need a base attack bonus of 5, which, depending on your class, it could be as early as 5th level or 8th level. And you also need 5 ranks in religion, so you need to have it put 5 ranks into it, and I need the selective channel feat. That allows me to use the channel energy function in Pathfinder to be able to selectively not heal a number of targets within range. So otherwise, you heal everything whenever you channel. It's just a burst of energy. But there's a lot of goody things that come with this, and why this thing becomes so broken. Pretty quickly, actually. Well, first and foremost, I mean, if you didn't have it already, this literally gives you every martial and armor proficiency and shield proficiency in the game off the bat, just going into this prestige class. But the big thing here, and probably one of the most broken things about it, is this one right here. It's very strong right out the gate. You get it at first level of this class, and it sticks with you, and you continue just to grow throughout the time you are taking levels in this prestige class. Very awesome. Holy Vindicator is a build I have played very much different ways to go about it, both dex-based and strength-based. Let's just say on my best attempts, I was able to get AC in the 50s, and we're talking, you know, like a 16th level build, so... AC is not the end-all be-all to be an untouchable like it is in 5th edition, but it does a lot of work in making sure you don't get hit. Let's see, another thing, this will also build levels of channel energy, because it will continue to boost Vindicator's shield and also continue your spells per day progression. But the big ability also, besides Holy Vindicator, is the Stigmata. That is a very sweet ability. It's very versatile. It's a little slow and clunky to build up, but if you make it towards the end of this PRC, it works as a swift action, and when that happens, broken. This thing is amazing. So, you get Channel Smite at 5th level, which is pretty cool. It's a nice little boost. Well, not little. It can be a potentially big boost, although it's still subjective to saving throws. Let's see. Got Versatile Channel. Faith Healing is pretty good. There's, you know, different. First, it starts out as Empowered, and which is a plus 50% bonus to normally your damage, and Maximize just gives you the max possible on every roll result. So if you're healing for D8s, then yeah, it's whatever D8, and then it's 8 plus whatever your ability modifier is. But so there's a few ways to go about building a Holy Vindicator. War Priest is a good option. It's a little bit more weapon centric, just because of how the War Priest is in general. I've played around with a couple of these builds using War Priest and Holy Vindicator. Yeah, it's a very good substitute for a Paladin, although not perfect, and a lot of it depends on your subclasses you could pick as well. Let's see. Paladin is like the de facto version for Holy Vindicator. It's probably what the PRC was originally made for. But that being said, I actually think it's among the weakest. Just because spellcasting is so limited with the Paladin class in Pathfinder that it kind of doesn't even make it much of a moot point to even cast spells. Oracle can be a good one, although you need a channel energy ability, so really it's a life cleric, or well, it's a life oracle, although I think at some point, yeah, you'd have to pick it a mystery, but you seriously lack a lot of the armor proficiencies until you get to appropriate level. That is not to say you can't build a battle oracle, but you just have to be patient about it and know that you're not going to jump into it right away. This is just my opinion, but the best way to build a completely powerful and game-breaking Holy Vindicator is with the Cleric class. Now, there is a problem with the Cleric class initially, and that is very, very mad and by that I mean multi-ability dependent. You do get 25 ability points to spend on your scores, but you will find that doesn't stretch out very far. So keeping to this limitation, your racials are going to highly matter. But I will persevere and try to make the best Holy Vindicator build that I can. So if we're going to use the Cleric class, that means I'm going to default as the party support for this game and this run, which I'm fine with. I actually do enjoy playing the Cleric class quite a bit. Although I'm not really big on religion as a whole, which is kind of weird. I don't know, maybe it's just I like protective magics. So I was kind of thinking about what type of cleric I was going to be, but I may just, for simplicity's sake, just stay with the base cleric. So that gives me the standard channel energy, 2 domains, and spontaneous spells, and I'll still have some armor and weapon proficiencies to go with it. Although I am going to end up ultimately speccing for 1 more. I may take Crusader just to get a couple bonus feats to tack on as I level. Unfortunately, that will cost me a domain, but that may not necessarily be a bad thing. Because I find a number of domain abilities just kind of be underwhelming. I mean, they're not domains as a whole is not a terrible mechanic. Don't get me wrong. There are some really amazingly awesome domains. But I think yeah, I think I might do this just because I know clerics from personal experience. They only have so many feats to pick from every time they level up, and every one of them is so precious, just so precious. So in order to help alleviate that burden, I might go with this. I'm glad that I don't see a reduced caster progression as per first edition Pathfinder rules. That was an old... Well, that's in the original subtype for that, and that really hurts, actually. But if this doesn't work out, I can always use Toy Box to basically respec myself. So I'm going to go with Crusader here, give this a try. I'm going to be a support cleric that can also off-tank as needed. I love how there's a number of races I can now pick too. You've got your standard human, elf, dwarf, gnome, halfling, half-elf, half-orc. Aasimar, which I wish there was more support for in Baldur's Gate 3, but I realize it's more about the lore accuracy, why there's an overwhelming number of tieflings these days as opposed to Aasimar, which is kind of sad. You think it'd be some balance to that, but, you know. Okay, well, I digress. Oreads, which is basically Ganassi, although these are Earth-based ones. Dampiers, which, yeah, are basically vampire spawn, but they were born naturally that way. I don't know. Those are weird to me. And Kisune, very much a very much a Pathfinder thing. I think those originally were from, if I remember the lore correctly, it's from Tianza, but they became pretty popular and now are just, you know, part of the mainstream of everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I am going to be an Aasimar because I want the sweet +2 to wisdom and charisma. Well, depending on heritage, there's a lot of versatility when it comes picking your heritage as well. So the base is +2 to wisdom and +2 to charisma. And for a cleric that uses both those stats, excellent. Awesome. Very cool. The other one is Angelkin Blooded, which I don't really particularly care for this lesser restoration ability. Garuda Blooded, Dex and Wisdom, Dex and Charisma, Constitution and Wisdom. I might be tempted to go Lawbringer. I'm kind of going for a Judge Dredd feel here, so this is pretty good. I'd say really good because it gives you a racial bonus on both persuasion and perception checks. And if anybody remembers how Pathfinder First Edition was, you don't know, or even Fifth Edition, perception is still a god tier skill, so it's very strong. The whole person aspect could be useful, but I'm not really feeling it. Truth be told, I think I'm gonna just stick with the core Aasimar. I know it's really tempted to be a Lawbringer, but the core Aasimar gives me the same bonus to skills as well, and Searing Light can be a bit more of a useful offensive spell for at least damage output wise at low levels. This one is pretty limited in that it only works on humanoid creatures. So that one, it's not biased against anything, although except, evil fiends and undead, which, that's what this AP is about. So why the hell not would I want to maximize that? Alright, so we've got backgrounds. Oh. So the Outdoor Swordsman was really good in Pathfinder Kingmaker because it fit both thematically, and the dueling sword is pretty well supported in that AP. I don't think it's very well supported here, though. I could be wrong. So I want to try to get some knowledges in Arcana if I can. Okay. Nexian Scholar could be interesting as I'm reading these as going through. Varisian Explorer. A +1 reflex saves might be nice. Depending on the build of the Holy Vindicator, reflex saving throws can be a real weak point for strength builds. Weapon proficiency scythe. Alright. Courier. Proficiency to rapier. Okay. Well, I only have one particular... or if you just don't want to deal with it, no background. I don't blame people for that, though. Even in First Edition Pathfinder, there's literally hundreds of backgrounds you can choose from. It's ridiculous. My comparison with how I like to relate Pathfinder First Edition to, say, people who have only played 5th Edition, if you take the sheer amount of content and complexity of that game and then multiply it by a power of 4, then you start get the idea and scope of Pathfinder First Edition. It is a very heavy developed rules crunchy game, as it should be. I mean, this is the final evolution of the 3rd edition rule set that was, at this point, well over 20 years in development and making and all that good stuff. So alright, so we already looked at Regional Scholar. Ooh, getting Scribe Scrolls as a bonus feat is really nice. For a Cleric, it doesn't seem like it'd be that particularly useful, but for the times where I've gone out of my way to spend some of my own resources just to have a few preparatory scrolls for times where either I did not have the spell slots to put something on, or I did, but we are going through a challenge so extreme that I needed the extra resources just so I had more resources to heal people or whatever case I needed. So that's good. That's really good. For my selected back from our class during creation, it corresponds most of the backer chance to. Oh, it's a -1 to AC, huh? Ah, that's no good. Let me take that one. Because even though this is a very much a type of game where there's a lot more skills to choose from, it's better to have something and not have it proficient in it than to not need it when you do. Alright. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with UMD is another god tier skill. So everybody has the means to use magic device unless they don't have training in it. And by that is you have to have at least one skill rank. It doesn't matter if you have proficiency or not, you just have to spend a skill rank in it in order to be able to access it. But it takes a lot of investment for it to be really good, but once you do, any magic item, restricted or not, just becomes available to you. Alright, so this guy. So the game is right in saying that you need good strength. Well, it's a good way to start to make a cleric. Especially going Holy Vindicator, you need good strength, you need constitution, and you need good wisdom. Wisdom is the primary core function of your spells. What they don't tell you, which I think is true with channel energy, is it's based off your charisma. At least that's true for Pathfinder. Yep, still based off charisma. So really, that's a pain in the ass. You need 4 good stats. And even though we have the max possible, like, allotted point buy, that's still only going to get you so far. Just to have decent scores in all of them, you're going to end up putting 14s and everything before ability, racial mods. So that's 20 point buy, and that's standard Pathfinder Society build. But I'm going to take strength up to 16 because I want to be able to hit stuff. So that'll give me... and unlike 5th edition, you don't want to necessarily drop your dex down to negatives. That affects your saving throw bonus as well as your initiative bonus as well as your overall AC, because dexterity still matters even when you're wearing heavy armor, although it's severely capped, as you would expect. So I would love to get higher intelligence for more stats, and that's kind of why I wish I could be human. Normally there's an alternate racial trait I would pick to give me more of my humanity back, just so I can get more skills, because clerics are absolutely skill starved. It's a travesty. But I'm just going to have to deal with it and trust on my teammates that I bring with me, whomever they may be. So we are going to take perception, of course. And I've got to take lore. Because I need 5 ranks to be able to be ready right off the bat. But once I get those 5 ranks out of the way, I can just move on. I may put them into other ranks and skills. We'll see. So, I am a Crusader Cleric. We get our first feat, which, as a Cleric, it's highly suggested to take, well, maybe not right off the bat, but I think I'm going to swing that since I can do that. What was it? Yeah, Selective Channel. Alright. Oh, interesting. I didn't see that guided hand. That's new to me. So, selected channels are prerequisite for guided hand. That's really good, actually. That would make me a little bit less multi-ability dependent, but I'm kind of committed to this now. Excuse me. The fizz from the soda I've been drinking on has come back to haunt me. So now here comes the fun part, I guess. Picking a deity. And this is what I couldn't really ultimately settle on, but I know it was going to be a lawful one. So if you're not familiar with the Pathfinder Pantheon, I can't be atheist. It can't be an atheist. So Zon-Kuthon, I mean, you could Google all these names, although that one's unfamiliar with me. But Urgathoa, Torag, that one's an unfamiliar one to me. Shaylin is pretty good. Serenray is actually a really good choice for a dex-based Holy Vindicator. Let me tell you. Not only do you get supercharged heals, if you get the weapon proficiency with a scimitar for free because that's her chosen weapon. While scimitars in of themselves are not finessable weapons, there is a couple ways you can make them finessable, and that's with a couple feats known as Slashing Grace, or probably the better option in my mind, Dervish Dance. It takes a lot less prerequisites to make. It's so good. Nethys is a good neutral deity. That one is all about arcane. Iomedes is like the cliche goody two shoes, you know. Lawful good paladin. I'm gonna kick in the door, and you're gonna see a lot of these ones here throughout the game, but I'm not gonna choose any of those. Green Faith and Gosray are both nature deities. Gorum is a battle deity. Godclaw is a new one. Alright. Yeah, Cthulhu's actually in here too. And yes, that's actually full-on Cthulhu, the real deal. Although anybody who actually claims to worship Cthulhu is automatically considered insane for obvious reasons. I mean, if you've never heard of Cthulhu, just Google it. It's more than I have time to explain. I did think about going Asmodeus. That would have been a very interesting choice, especially with the portrait I have chosen. But ultimately, I think the best one is not Caden Killian. That's the drunken hero / brawler. He's fun. But no, Abadar. I'm going to go with the Judge Dredd look. I should have a Judge Dredd type of deity, although he's typically more favors... officially he's lawful neutral, but he tends to have more of a mix of lawful neutral and lawful good followers. That's not to say lawful evil can't be in their clergy. It does. It just so happens that they often end up falling to Asmodeus at some point anyway. Surprise, surprise. I am going to walk a very fine line here. Alright. So being that I am worshipping a neutral deity, you get to choose. Would you pump out negative energy or positive energy? And once you make that choice is set until you end up ultimately respecking, or whatever the case may be. I'm going to choose positive, because that's just what I do. Like I said, walking that very fine line, and if I happen to fall during gameplay, then so be it. What is this? Oh, I get to pick my domains. Okay. Spell Killer Inquisition. So, ooh. I get to protect... Yeah, so... From... Every deity has, like, a small collection of domains you can pick from within their portfolio. And every deity will tell you what portfolios they have. If you're not sure, like, take the time to look it up on Archives of Nethys. Oh, that would be my first recommendation. Or if not there, D20 PFSRD. Anything on deities from there will give you more than enough information you need to make a good and well-informed decision. I, on the other hand, I know what I'm picking, so I'm going to pick the Protection domain. Oh, wait, I only have one domain. Shit. So protection domain, I mean, the aura protection is really good, particularly for having resist 5, but by 8th level, resist 5 isn't really much at all. It's actually kind of weak. So a much better domain, and honestly, probably one of the best domains, is the travel domain. I mean, my God. So as a free action, you can gain increased mobility for a round when you ignore all death drain, extra win, and you can use this a number of times a day equal to 3 plus your wisdom mod, so that would be with a 16. That is now a +3, so 6 times a day. Plus Dimensional Hop. Now that's the game changer. My goodness, you can get out of a lot of crap being able to teleport around the battlefield, especially as a cleric, because otherwise you're going to have to wait for a long time just to even have good, movement ability. So, I think with that in mind, although, thematically it might be more appropriate to go with law. In this case, if we're dealing with Denizens of the Abyss, which is predominantly chaotic evil, yeah, that could be really good. This would be a really good domain for this particular campaign, but I'm going to stick with what I know. I love the travel domain in first edition Pathfinder. It's really good. Actually, I may go back and change. Yeah. I'm going to change selective channel to exotic weapons proficiency, because I really want to start the game with the best one-handed weapon you can get. We are playing core Pathfinder. I expect it to be a little bit harder than what the base difficulty is. It's not going to have... It's going to play like regular tabletop Pathfinder. Oh, I can't. I need a BAB1. Okay. No worries. So, I am going to play it as to the rules. I'm not going to cheat if I can help it. So let's go back to selective. Alright. We will go ahead and take a bonus feat for being a Crusader Cleric. I'm not going to take heavy armor for weapons proficiency. I could take a shield. Shield bash is not good because I don't have the dex for it. I think you need a 13 dex because it requires 2 weapon fighting. This is building for the long term, but ultimately I'm going to end up picking up a Falcata. Oh, I don't think it's going to let me because I don't have prerequisites for it. Lame. Okay. Alright, well, I can tell probably when I get to 3rd level I'm going to end up having to respec a little bit. We'll see. Now, a quick and cheesy way to get around that is to take a level of fighter if you're playing with a GM that is strictly by the book and will straight up double check your math and work, which, okay, 1, that's a little weird, I think, but 2, probably a little bit understandable. It's so easy for a player to break this rule set to the point where there's nothing or very little in which a GM can reasonably challenge a party or player. And that's what kind of bothers me about that. It's very much a player's rule set, not very balanced, especially once you get past 12th level. It just all falls apart after that, which is kind of disappointing. Two-bladed sword. Wonder why it's recommending these. Anyway, I'm gonna stick with heavy mace for now. I guess I have to pick one. So I'm gonna be lawful neutral. I mean, does this look like a friendly face to you? I'm not digging the body hairstyle of this avatar much at all. Hairstyle. I kind of want to go for a silver. Go for black, but that's just weird. Also, I'm not digging the swoop. Looks like I got metal for head. Alright, alright. That's kind of close to my portrait. Or if I wanted to be my portrait, there I go. Like, that's pretty clean. I kind of dig that one. Let's see, either 5 or 8. I'm gonna go with 8, honestly. I kind of dig that one. Let's see, eye color. Yeah, I want to look like I've seen some shit. I've been through some shit. I don't really care about the clothes color so much. That's going to change. Do I want a beard? Let's take a look at the face. Oh, my face! My fucked up face! Oh, goodness. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I can totally see this character have gotten in a few fights trying to beat Judge Dredd in their early life and rightfully getting their ass kicked for it on a couple occasions. Oh, jeez. Yeah, big old brick house of a dude. I'm gonna go in the middle.
I have no use for this. I'll take care of it. Their life ends here.
I shall not falter. I have no need for this. Let us press on. Defeat is not an option. Together we stand. Strike as one.
Enemy near. Everyone counts on me. Let us bide our time. My skills exceed yours. The path is clear.
I lead. You spell's not working like that. Damn, son!
Damn, son!
Are you still here? We'll win this. One way. First come, first served. I need to concentrate. Combat is adjourned. So it comes to this. I'll need to review this spell later. I will guide. Does anyone require my counsel? I sense something. Combat is adjourned.
Okay, that won it for me. Combat is adjourned. I'm going for Judge Dredd. You win. Bravo's voice actor. Bravo. Of course. Oh, the first day of Abathus. Yeah. I guess that's the month of Abadar. That makes sense. Born in as an omen to an Azamar, as an Azamar. I like how this is shaping up.
So it comes to this.
Yes, it so comes to this. Oh, that's right. Travel domain also gives you a +10 base movement speed too. That's amazing. Oh gosh, this is going to be really good. Starting off in the game, I'm going to be more of a support build than anything. But and once we get to that point where it's time to go Holy Vindicator, boy, look out, I'll be the new party tank. Alright, I'm going to break here just in case we need to but we'll get started officially in the next episode. Until then, I will see you right after.